Sister Cecilia Maria was a Carmelite nun in Argentina, and a few years ago, her picture was all over the internet. But it was a kind of a unique picture that was all over her internet, because the picture of Sister Cecilia Maria was her on her deathbed. Sister Cecilia contracted a form of throat cancer, which spread to her lungs, and she battled very painfully through this cancer, and she ended up dying at the age of 46. But when she died, they took her picture, and the picture that went all over the internet showed Sister Cecilia with the most genuine and the biggest smile on her face. Even in death, she had this ginormous and authentic smile on her face. You can still go back and you can Google it, Sister Cecilia Maria from Argentina, and you can see, even after she had died and she had grown pale in death, she was smiling. And to her Carmelite sisters, this didn't particularly surprise them, because after Sister Cecilia's death, her sisters said that all throughout her trials, all throughout her sufferings, while she was battling the cancer, she was always smiling. She was always joyful, even in the midst of all of the cancer treatments. And they said that at the end, Sister Cecilia surrendered to her divine spouse, smiling. How could she do this? How could Sister Cecilia be smiling all the way up to death and even be smiling within death? I mean, I have a deer fly bite on the bottom of my foot right now, and it is taking all joy away from me that it's getting really hard for me to smile this weekend. How could she be smiling in death? I think it's because Sister Cecilia was living what Pope Francis called us to live when he first became Pope. And the first document that he put out on his own writings was called The Joy of the Gospel. Pope Francis told us back then, the joy of the gospel fills the hearts and lives of all who encounter Jesus. With Christ, joy is constantly born anew. Sister Cecilia was living in this Christian joy, which was her response to her encounter with Jesus. To her life, her suffering, and her death lived together with Jesus. She responded in joy. Because she had the same longing in her heart as all of us who are gathered here have our longing in our hearts. We long for the love that Jesus shows us. We long to increase in this life that Jesus has given us by our baptism. We long for this love that has set us free from our sins and that has opened up a new horizon for our lives. This desire is alive and growing within us. And as we've entered into this life of love, as we've embarked on it, every person who is in love rejoices to find the beloved. And when love attains union, it produces joy. That's the key thing about joy. When love attains union, it produces joy. We even see this in Jesus himself. Jesus desired to be united with all of us, so he came from heaven to be united with us, to take our human nature to himself, so that he could share his joy with us. This is what he tells us at the Last Supper. I have said these things to you so that my joy would be in you, and your joy would be complete. Our joy becomes complete as we enter into this union that Jesus has begun, that Jesus has sought out. When this love attains union, it produces joy. That's how we get this fruit of the Holy Spirit. It's the second fruit of the Holy Spirit that we have in that long list. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and all the other ones that I can't remember because there's 12 fruits of the Holy Spirit. Joy is a fruit. When love attains union, when love comes together with the beloved, then is produced joy. This is what those 72 disciples needed reminding of as they came back from being so successful on the mission that Jesus has sent them out on. They come back rejoicing. They come back rejoicing, Jesus, even the demons are subject to us. Look at how powerful we are. Look at what we can accomplish. Look at what I have done. Sometimes we fall into the same temptation of thinking that joy is something that we just have to muster up within ourselves, something we produce on our own. Sometimes we fall into the temptation of thinking that joy is our accomplishment, that we've done something well, and now we can rejoice. And to a certain degree, Jesus goes along with that. He says, rejoice. It's like, I've seen Satan fall like lightning. You have done well. Good job. But Jesus reminds them, rejoice rather because your names are written in heaven. Rejoice because you have begun to live in this union that I have come to bring about. Rejoice because you lived in this mission together with me. And so this love is bringing about this union. And so you can rejoice with the joy of the Holy Spirit. We too can rejoice because from the very beginning of our spiritual lives, we possess the beloved in our hearts. We rejoice because from the very beginning of our spiritual life, when we were baptized, we received the Holy Spirit into our hearts. God himself gave himself to us so completely that we would live this life as one with him. And that was just the beginning. This life has continued to grow. This life continues to grow. And it's especially strengthened through this holy communion that we partake of as we receive the Holy Eucharist. As this love attains a deeper union. As this life is lived more and more united with our beloved Jesus, then we rejoice even more. At every moment, we have access to our beloved. At every moment, our beloved is with us. From the very beginning of our spiritual lives, the beloved has been with us. So we can rejoice. We can rejoice even in our sufferings. We can rejoice even in those times when we're experiencing trial or difficulties in our lives. We can rejoice because Isaiah the prophet encouraged the people of Israel to rejoice with Jerusalem, all you who were mourning over her. See, the people of Israel were conquered by the Babylonians. Jerusalem was a defeated city. The people have been driven out into exile, and all of the blessings that they had received from God, all of it was stripped away. They were left with none of that goodness that they had experienced together with God. And so they cried out, they wept. We can read it in the Psalms. But Isaiah encourages them, rejoice, all you who were mourning over her, because God has not abandoned you. As a mother comforts her son, so will I comfort you. We can still rejoice because even in our difficulties, our sufferings, God has not abandoned us. Our beloved is still with us. We can even rejoice in our difficulties as Pope Francis encourages us. Because as he says, joy is not expressed in the same way at all times in life, especially at moments of great difficulty. Joy adapts and changes, but it always endures. Even as a flicker of light born of our personal certainty that when everything is said and done, we are infinitely loved. When everything is said and done, we are infinitely loved. That's the source of our joy. That's how we can rejoice even in our sufferings. Because even when this is said and done, whatever our personal trials might be, whatever our family difficulties might be, even our parish difficulties right now, when everything is said and done, we are infinitely loved. We are not abandoned. But how? It's easy for us to rejoice in those times of consolation when we're receiving all of those blessings from God. It's easy to rejoice together with God in those moments. How can I do it when it seems like everything is being taken away from me? How can I do it when it seems like God is abandoning me? How can I rejoice in these times? Pope Francis encourages us again. I understand the grief of people who have to endure great suffering. Yet slowly but surely, we all have to let the joy of faith slowly revive as a quiet, yet firm trust, even amid the greatest distress. Then he goes on to quote the book of Lamentations. My soul is bereft of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. The love of the Lord never ceases. This love that has sought us out and lives together with us, even in the times of suffering and difficulty. He is with us every morning. He is with us this morning. And whatever sufferings and trials we have brought to him this morning, he is with us in this. Because his steadfast love never ceases. His steadfast love is always with us. And when we encounter, when we experience this divine presence of the beloved in our hearts, even in the midst of sufferings, then is produced the fruit of the Holy Spirit called joy. So Jesus calls us to himself and gathers us to himself to encounter him anew. To encounter him as the beloved of our hearts, and knowing that we are the beloved of his hearts. We have access to his love, which seeks to bring about a deeper union of him with us. And in this encounter, we can receive that love, be united more deeply with him, even in whatever sufferings we bring to him today. And then we can smile. And then can be awakened that fruit of the Holy Spirit in our hearts that will lead us to rejoice even in sufferings, that will lead us to know that we are always able to rejoice. Because when love attains union, it produces joy. And in this holy communion, this union with our beloved Jesus is renewed and strengthened. And so we can live in this fruit of the Holy Spirit called joy.